Hello, everybody. Joe Malone here. It is Tuesday, June 22nd, and Chairman Powell had a meeting, and so it's a choppy market. I was in Nvidia this morning, and it looks like it was going to move higher, but I got stopped out. So one of those things. Get my headset on here correctly. And but I did enter a small position in Microsoft of all things, and also I bought a small position in CrowdStrike. I'm still about 50% in cash, so it's an interesting market. I mean, it's a very choppy market, much harder to trade than normal. I was a little bit late today because I was putting together a very nice spread trade on Roku, and I want to show you that in a few minutes. Kind of just an idea of what that is all about, and basically just let's kind of get into some of the slides here. Just want to move over first to the Nasdaq Composite. We're still under pressure in the market, so it's up today, which is a good thing. As you can see, we're above. The Nasdaq is behaving pretty well today. It's above that very important 14,000 range, and of course we're making a new high, which today, the last high was 142.11. So that was the last high, but we're now above that, which is a good thing. So there is money coming back into the market. That's really what it's telling us, that there's money coming into the market, and some of the big names. I kind of wanted to show you what I've been buying. I did buy a half position in Microsoft because it moved above a very key level. That basically being, and then there we go. Okay. Basically, I bought a half position, basically at 264.62. It's, just right there, just right above that buy point, that 263 buy point. So, not a huge position, but it seems to be acting well. Also, I did execute another order on CrowdStrike CRWD. To kind of take a look at this one. This has been doing very nicely. It's up significantly today. It had some very good earnings, and it's finally above the 251 buy point, which is doing very, very well. So, kind of wanted to show you that CrowdStrike making a new movement over this 251 buy point. So that's kind of a good thing going on there as well with CrowdStrike. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's take a look at see how the S&P 500 composite is trading, and it's also trading up too. So that's kind of a good sign. Basically, making a nice move there as well. So it seems like and again, it seems like we're repairing a little bit of the damage, and hopefully we will be of basically yesterday. We had a big sell-off yesterday, but it seems as if we're moving well on the day. So just kind of want to go through also some kind of meme stocks that people are maybe interested in. Let's take a look at GameStop, GME, see how it's trading. And it is trading up a little bit today. That's good. As you can see, they do have this special offering apparently, and so it looks like they're going to be getting taking in a lot of money. So it's definitely one to watch there as well. So let's get to some of the questions. Thanks for holding. We did have earnings on Plug Power today, and it did have some good earnings. So it is up. I'm not really a buyer of Plug, and I'll show you why. I am watching it though. But Plug Power basically here moved above the 200-day moving average on a very heavy volume, as you can see there. It's very heavy, and so that indeed is very good. But here's the thing. Here's my concern about it. I still want it to move above this local high, this 34.38 local high here, really before I want to buy it, because it just needs to show more strength. Now, it did move past the reversal line, so it is reversing higher, and definitely you can see that with the relative strength line. But I still want it to go to a higher high. Just really in this kind of market, buying reversals, I want to see it move to a localized higher high, and that would be 34.38. So that's right here. But definitely on my watch screen. There are some other issues with Plug Power. It's the sector is really bad. It's 130, 193 out of 197, so it's really in the bottom barrel. There has been sort of disinvestment in this area, so I'm a little bit I'm a little bit reticent here to put my oar in the water on it. But it came through very nicely. So I would not be a buyer at this level, but I'd wait and possibly if it moves to a higher high. Thanks, Kate, very much. Thoughts on VOO? Of course, this is the essentially the Vanguard version of the Spider. So let's look at VOO and take a look here. Yeah, S&P 500 ETF. It's moving nicely. This is this is sort of a more of a set and forget type of this is more of a set and forget type of ETF here. It does look like and this may be a good point to get into it because it does look like it's come down to the 50-day line. It's bounced and it's moving higher, so that's a good thing. A little bit low volume there, but remember this is an ETF, so that can explain some of this. But it's looking fairly good. I'd be a little bit careful though with with the S&P. As you know, on we had a big sell-off on Monday, and so we're not in a confirmed uptrend right now. The market is under pressure, so it's it's a little bit difficult there. But the Spider, let's take a look at the Spider. That's essentially it's essentially the same thing. It's just a different company. It's Invesco as opposed to Vanguard. Similar motion, really, just covers the same stocks. But again, this is pretty good action. It looks like this is fortunate. It came down to the 50-day and then it bounced up, and it looks like we may have another little bit of an upward trend. So at least for the week, at least is buying it right now. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good on both the VOO and on the Spider. And Kate says she got in at 384. So let's kind of analyze that. I'm just going to go to the 15-minute chart to see. Oh wow, you're really in it at a good price. You're in a really good price there. Well, a little bit of a problem with my video. There we go. But 384. Wow, that's a good price. That's about right here. Let's see. Yeah, so that's right about here. So yeah, you got in a very good place, Kate. That's an excellent buy. This is also a good place. As you can see, and this will show you kind of how I like to buy them as well. It'll go down, it will touch the 50-day line. It'll bounce, come back up, bounce, come back up. So buying it on the upward trend is really, really good. That's the case here. We have an upward trend now, so this might be a good place to get in. Not quite as good, of course, as where Kate got in. She got in an excellent place, but this is looking very, very good. So, at least for right now, I think I think you're looking very, very good on this. Yeah, I have problems with my camera, so let me see if I can get the camera to. Yeah, well, I can get the avatar, but I can't get the camera. Jeez, I don't know why. Yep, there we go. Okay, I got it now. All right, so that's a really pretty excellent. Yeah, let's cover Bitcoin a little bit. Bitcoin took a huge dive, as you well know. The real support for Bitcoin, I believe, is right about 30,000. And as I said before, I think when I did this originally, a lot of people were. Oh goodness gracious! Hopefully I'll get more bandwidth here. There we go. Sometimes it's okay. So now we're down a little bit today. Let's look at the daily chart. Yeah. So we came down below 30,000, and we bounced, and so there definitely is a floor there. But basically the Chinese government has declared war on Bitcoin, so a lot of people are going to be having difficulty there. Basically all of the coins, all the crypto is struggling right now. I would not be in it right now just because of the fact that it is so it's volatile to the downside right now. I'm going to check GBTC. This is what I use for a proxy for it, and it did have a nice bounce today. It pulled back below this line, this $28 line. This is a sort of the line in the sand here, and then it is pulled back up. So it does seem to have some kind of floor here at about 28 or about 31,000 to the dollar on Bitcoin. Now, of course, this is not exactly one for one because remember this is an ETF that it represents that represents 4% of the world's Bitcoin, but it does trade very very similarly. So there is some heavy buying right about the 31,000, 32,000 level, as you can see. So a lot of volume has come in, yeah, and since this afternoon it's come in. So it's trading at about, but it's still very very right now I think it's very shaky in terms of in terms of the price. Let's look at an interesting one here. This is one that I had an option play on before it split 10 for 1, and this is called TTD, the Trade Desk, and it's an interesting company because basically in the online advertising business, of course, Google and Facebook really dominate, but there's another company in here, and that's the Trade Desk, and they basically syndicate to all the other websites. It's looking pretty good. It's still trading below its 200-day moving average, but it did just move above the 50-day. Here's the thing about the Trade Desk. Of course, now it's trading on a split adjusted basis, and it is, but even on a split adjusted basis, it is moving up. So I do like this stock. Relative strength is a little bit weak, but the advertising services business is improving as a sector. So would I buy it at this level? No, I would probably watch list this thing, wait for it to move above the 200-day line, and that would be, I want to see it. I want to see the price improve a little bit on it. Basically, above about $70 a share is where I would start to be looking to add here. But if we draw a trend line, and this is basically a, I'm going to put in here this is sort of the reversal line that I'm putting in here, and I'm gonna go ahead and create an alert on that. Oops. See if it'll let me do it. Well, it won't quite let me do it. Let's see if I can draw a trend line and get me to allow me to. That's probably the line that you really should key off of there. Let's see if that'll let me do that. No, it won't let me. But anyways, if it comes above this, that's where I'm starting to get interested in it. Right now, I think it's in a down. It hasn't broken to an upward trend yet, so that's very very important. All right, let's take a look at some of the stuff from TikTok. Thank you very much. What happened to Dogecoin? Well, all of the cryptos, and as I've been kind of trying to, warn a little bit, the central banks are starting to really clamp down on some of the crypto. So I think it's going to be weak, at least for the time being, because the Chinese obviously don't want it, and I don't think the Europeans do either. So, I mean, in the future it probably will be, but right now I think you got to get out of the coins right now until we get a little bit better, better price action. As you know, it made its high 61,000 basically back in April, and since then it has not been anywhere near that. I don't like to buy anything typically unless it's within 15% of its all-time high, and that's not the case for Bitcoin. So I think you just got to be extremely careful when when buying Bitcoin right now. I just think it's really tough. Party City, interesting. All right, let's take a look at Party City. Let's see, PRTY. And Party City Holdings. Well, it's not looking bad, actually. Not looking bad. It's in a buy zone. Wow, what do you know? The buy point on is 921. So it definitely is in a buy zone. It's right at the 10-day line, and it looks as if the Well, unfortunately, this retail specialty group is not a terrifically good group, but it does have strength. Yeah, you could buy it in here. I probably wouldn't just based on the strength of just based on the group strength. It just doesn't appeal to me because it's so the group strength is so um, is so weak. So I probably wouldn't be a buyer here. But if you're in it, I mean, I would stay in it because it doesn't look bad. I mean, the chart doesn't look bad. So that's kind of how I would play Party City. Interesting. Okay, thoughts on SBH? Let's look at SBH. Interesting. SBH. Um, all right, Sally Beauty Holdings. Yeah. Well, it's pulled back up to. It looks like it's. Yeah, this is not bad. This is essentially a cup with handle. Yeah, this is essentially the cup with handle formation. Um, we did, we there was some resistance at 2191. It pushed through that. It's then pulled back, but it's pulled back up to that. So it looks like there's some strength. This might not be a bad time to be in Party City. I mean, be in Sally Beauty Holdings because it does look like it's reversed, and that indeed can be a very good thing. So I'm going to set an alert on that line. It does look like we're in a buy zone. So definitely this is interesting. I mean, we're in we're in a buy zone. So Sally Beauty is currently in a buy zone. So that indeed is a good thing. Yeah, I mean, definitely, you could definitely buy it at this level. I do like this, but again, the problem here again, retail specialty, 154 out of 197, which isn't particularly good. But retail has been picking up, not necessarily the specialty area, but let's look at some of the other groups. I just kind of want to see what groups are trading the best currently, and get in here the rankings. Let's go here. Okay, so currently we got oil and gas producers is once again the place to be. So let's see if we can find something that's viable right now in the oil and gas area. I think that we've still got to consider this. I'm going to look at the top stocks. Goodrich Petroleum and later. Oh, this is interesting. So let's look at Goodrich GDP. See if there's anywhere to buy this. Yeah, this is a little bit extended here, but boy, look at that. Wow. That's incredible. So Goodrich Petroleum, I've never heard of this company. It's a very small one. Only look at that, very small volume here. But this is one you might want to put on your radar screen. Goodrich Petroleum. I don't know it offhand, but there's a lot of ones in this group. Now Laredo I have heard of, and they are also doing well. Not really a good buy point though for Laredo. I'm trying to find a stock that will be right at the right place. Now Callum, of course, I've had Callum. I've been shaken out of it twice. It's a good stock. It's currently a little bit extended though, above its buy point. It's 42 buy point. 42 is the correct buy point for it. Still trying to find something that's actionable. Let's see if we can find something that's actionable in the. Let's look at today. Nope. No news on that one. Battalion Oil Corp. Now this one probably, yeah, this one is just slightly extended. This one might be a buy right now. Interesting company. Symbol BATL. BATL. For this one. This one might be of interest. BATL. I'm going to try to. I did sell most of my oils, so I currently don't have it. I have a few, but not as many as I had. But this still is a very, very strong group. So it's definitely an area that you could be investing in, just as a thought. Okay. So, question. Thank you, Nathan. What's the top of the buy zone for space? Got in at 38. Now here's the thing. There isn't really a buy zone for space because it doesn't really have a proper base. I just want to be clear about that. But there are places you could possibly buy it. Let's see if I can. There are places that you could possibly buy this. Um, Currently it's 39. So really, I think anything over 40. I think it's very buyable. But right now I think you're okay. But I would set that stop loss very very tight. Let me kind of give you an idea of where I would put my stop on this, and that would be about at boy, I would say about 37. I would say about 37 on this one, Nathan. I think that's going to be a good price for it. It does look pretty good. I mean, it's got a nice relative strength line, but remember, this one is very speculative and can easily snap back. So this is a little bit more difficult one to trade, to be honest with you. All right, let's see. I'm gonna. What are your thoughts about Sound of Whistles? I don't know much about that one. Ah, hey, do you work with data sciences? Well, actually, I do use software that has AI pattern recognition. So that's the reason I'm able to pick up buy points so quickly. I believe me, I don't. I used to do these calculations by hand, and believe me, it would take a long time. It would take about 30 minutes to do them, even with spreadsheets. It's very nice to have the kind of software they have. So it's really interesting. Here's a good question from Bitcoin on Bitcoin. Bitcoin. The problem with Bitcoin is that you have a lot of these regulators that are out for it. I kind of want to look to see again, kind of where Bitcoin is going. Let's see if that'll give me a yeah. I'm going to look at the 5-day chart. We did bounce. We did see some support at about 30,000 on Bitcoin, and that seems to be kind of where the support is. But here's the problem with Bitcoin, the way I see it, is we have an issue with the fact that its higher high was about 61, and you don't really want to buy anything unless it's within about 15% of that. So we're very far off of that. So I think you got to be very careful entering a position in Bitcoin right now, because I do think that 30,000 is a floor for Bitcoin, and we could fall through that. And if we do, we're probably back down to maybe as low as 22,000. So yeah, it's not a good thought. So if you don't have stops on your Bitcoin, that maybe was something you want to look at. Please explain buying on reversals versus buying on breakout. That's a good question, Nathan. I really appreciate that. Basically, what a reversal is, and let me kind of show you a stock that is a classic reversal. It's NVIDIA, and let me show you kind of how that works. Basically, what'll happen is you can see there's this line here. Now, I actually drew this line, and what this was is that as it made this cup pattern, and then it trended down. And what I wanted to see, of course, was when it broke this pattern to the upward side. And the way you do that is by doing a trend line, basically from the high down through the higher the local highs, and then you get this line. And then when it breaks this trend line, that's when you can potentially enter it for a movement, a very rapid movement on up to what they call the buy point, which is right here, 648. And then if it moves through the buy point, because this is resistance, then it possibly will move higher. But what the difference is this is buying on a reversal. As it moves above this reversal line, buying on a breakout is where you're going to have a gap up situation. There was a gap up situation on, I believe it was Roku today. And by the way, I do have a spread trade on Roku. Yeah, there was. It wasn't. You see. This is essentially a gap. This isn't a gap up. If this opened higher than this would be a gap up. But this is sort of what we're talking about here. Again, same situation. reversal, then it reversed above that. This would be a good place to buy if it came back down to that line. You want to close it, but it didn't. It found support, and then it moved back up. But what a breakout is where it will go, and then it will gap up. So this is sort of a breakout here. They're both good, but in this market, you probably want to buy on a reversal because it takes less power on a reversal than on a breakout. But a reversal can be, can be problematic because many times the reversals can fail, and when they do, it's not fun because then you have to close your position. So sometimes you'll find yourself buying a position, closing it, buying it, closing it, and then finally you'll get it right and it'll move up. That's a very interesting question. Good question, Nathan. Very good question. All right. So oh, this is a question on space. All right. So question on LEN is Lennar Homes, and of course they're a big Florida a builder. Now, here's the thing with Lennar. The buy point on Lennar is about 110. It's right here, right at this, right at this level, right at this level here. It's pulled back a little bit from that, so we're in sort of a slight downtrend. So if you draw a line basically from the local higher highs, that's going to give us the reversal line. So it looks as if it has reversed. It looks like it has reversed higher, but it's getting some resistance right at the 50-day line. Now, why are these lines so important? Well, because much of the trading is programmatic trading, and they definitely key off of these lines. So, a 50-day moving average line is a very important line, actually. But now for Lennar, let's get back to Lennar. Sorry to I was taking a little bit of a I was kind of talking out here. This is definitely moving well on increasingly good earnings, 61%. Now, let's take a look at its ranking, 56 out of 197. So this is definitely good. The residential builders have been doing well. Now, here's the problem with the residential builders, of course. They're highly dependent on the interest rates. So if interest rates go up, unfortunately this group is not going to do as well. But right now, there has been a commitment to keep the rates relatively low, and this is very good for the builders. And Lennar definitely is a leader in this category. So, definitely this is something that that you could possibly look at. I'm not as bullish on the builders as I am on some of the other commodity plays, but this is a very good area to look at. So I think that if you were to start, I wouldn't necessarily go in with a full position here, but this might be a place to start building a position. Should you sell Nvidia today? Well, I sold Nvidia today. I bought Nvidia and I sold it. I round tripped it. Not something you want to do. I thought we were going to have a little bit more strength, and it pulled back, and now it's pulled back up. So there's definitely, it's sort of in this kind of netherworld right here between about 750 and about 755. So I'm probably going to buy it again, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait probably until we move above about 770, because that's the true buy point. I was a little bit early on this. I did sell, and then I bought back today, but it's probably a little bit too early. I don't know if you should sell. I mean, I think it's going to be, I think it's just going to, I do think it's going to move higher into, I think it's going to move higher into the split, which happens on July 19th. I do believe that's going to happen. But if you have profit in this, it's not necessarily a bad idea to take profits. I definitely have been taking profits on Nvidia, but I was in since the reversal, which is about 570, so probably a little different situation. Jay, can it reach 800? I think it's very, very likely that it will. Part of the reason what I base this on really is the fact that I think that we have a very nice slope here, and we haven't really broken this yet. So, I mean, I do think this is approximately the slope that it's at. Now, to get to 800, that would be in July. That would be about July 19th, which is essentially, basically where That's when it's going to start just trading as a split share. So I don't think it's likely to go to 850 or anything, but I think 800 could be very likely by about July 20th. So that's a good call there. All right. So the Fed pal answered no questions today. Well, yeah, of course, because the problem is, anytime everybody trades on that, so obviously, Fed chairmen have become very, very good at kind of being mystical about what they say. They talk, but they don't say anything, and that's for a reason. But I just think they're going to hold the line on interest rates. That's the key, really. That's the key thing. Let's look at Apple. I the only thing I have on Apple right now, I do have a spread. I do have a bull call spread on Apple, so I am bullish on Apple. I just did, but I have sold my shares, and it's up today nicely. It's moving nicely, 134. Now, if Apple can move up to and above 137, then I think it's going to move up to about 145. But it's just been very, very slow but sure. But it does appear that we've turned the corner with Apple. We've moved above the reversal line, and it does look pretty good for Apple. So I'm liking the action on Apple. And if you own it, I wouldn't sell it right now. I just wouldn't sell it. I think it's probably going higher. Not going to be a rocket ship, but definitely a good stock. Um, okay, question from TikTok from AMC. And of course, they have it's up today again. Wowie, this is a tough one to trade. I'll be honest with you, but because of all the action on it. I did, as you can see, I drew this line here basically at 14. This is sort of where it started taking off. This is back a few weeks ago that I did this, but this has just been going up and up. I mean, it's 58 now, so. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this one. Let's do a calculation for this short, to see if it's still has a short squeeze potential. So let me kind of go back to this and see if I can bring up. Let's see if I can. Oh, okay. There we go. Let's see if I can bring up the. Um, screen for the to do the short squeeze calculation. So let me go get the oops. Come on. Come on. Oh. Okay. A little bit bandwidth issues there, sorry. All right. So let's get the calculator. Move it over here. Well, not letting me do it. Okay. Try again. There we go. Maybe share the screen out again. I guess I've got to do it that way. Okay. So, geez. Okay. All right. Having technical difficulties here, I'm sorry to say. It's just not letting me do it. All right. Let's share that screen. Let's put this on top. Large type. All right, so that's good. All right. And then I'm going to bring up the window for, let's see if I can, let me, I'm trying to minimize I'm trying to minimize this. It's just not letting me minimize. Come on. There we go. Finally. There we go. Okay, now I can minimize. I hope. Nope. Okay. It's doing everything, notes and everything, and I can't seem to get it to. Hold on. Let's go over here. And hopefully I can take this off. There we go. Okay, so maybe this will. All right. Okay, there we go. Finally. Let's see if we can do it now. All right. So let's look at AMC. I'm going to look at the short interest on AMC. So basically, we've got 0.6 days, in terms of the short interest. The average daily volume, 177 million, 282,000 shares, which is a lot, divided by the float, 441, 441, 300. There we go. So the float, the amount of shares short is still currently 24%. So we're still looking to have a short squeeze here. So it's still in play. I mean, definitely still in play for a short squeeze. So would I buy it at this level? I just can't really say because I just don't have enough information really. I have to do a little bit more research on this one, but it looks as if it possibly could move above 60. So very interesting play on that. Very interesting play on that. Okay, all right. Talking about mostly big caps. Yeah, I do talk mostly, by the way, about big cap stocks, and the reason I do this, I typically like to buy stocks that are at least $10 in price, and the reason I do is because below that they typically are very volatile, and penny stocks, really, they're not penny stocks, but stocks that trade below $10 typically have are very thin in terms of their. So you can get into a lot of trouble with them because when they fall hard. So I typically am in larger stocks. There are some exceptions, and the oil stocks are those exceptions because there are many very good oil stocks that trade under $10. Okay. Thoughts on Apple? We talked about Apple. What about Palantir? That's a blast from the past. Palantir looked so promising. I was sort of in after the IPO, but it has had issues ever since. It's just funny how it has not lived up to the hype. It's a good stock, I guess, but it's kind of like Snowflake in that it just hasn't really performed as well as the hype. And so I mean it has reversed. It possibly is going higher. It looks like it's trading up the 10-day moving average, which is a very good thing. So you possibly could buy it at this level. There are some issues here. I probably would like to see it move above the first stage consolidation, which is about 33.50. Currently, it's 25. So here's what I would do with Palantir. If I wasn't in it right now. Now, if I was in it and I wasn't down on it more than 7%, I'd hold it. But if I was down more than 7%, I would sell this one and wait for a better time. The better time really is when it's going to come back up to this little consolidation here at 33.50. So I would be careful with Palantir right now just because it just hasn't shown the kind of situation that I'd like to see. Now, one stock that has done very well is Roku. It's expensive, but it has moved to a very nice level. It is definitely reversed. Kind of want to show you this one. So what I'm saying is that Palantir could end up with a chart like Roku. Roku has definitely reversed, and it never actually came down to the 200-day line. It's reversed higher, and it's looking like, now that it's above this 292, it's probably going to head up, probably another $50 or so, or maybe more, on up here to about the 486 range. So it probably will pull back a little bit because it's very difficult to maintain a slope like this. This is a very steep slope. So it's likely to pull back a little bit, but it looks like at least coming into July, it's looking pretty good. So that's one that you might want to take a look at. It is definitely improving in terms of the movies and leisure area. That's definitely improving. And a lot of it has to do with Roku because Roku stock is doing pretty well. Now let's take a look at another area of particular strength in the market right now. And that is, let's see, this is the retail department stores. Now, for some reason, and I have no idea why this is the case, but for some reason, retail department stores seem to be doing good. And interestingly enough, let's look at, this one here is a very interesting one This is a Brazil-based company. It's interesting. I've been seeing a lot of strength in some of these Brazil-based companies. Now, normally I don't invest in a lot of foreign companies, but this one looks really, really good, and it's in the retail department store area. It's 6 out of 197, and it is trading at 17.29. So it's up, and it's got a relative strength. So this one is potentially one you might want to put on your radar. I have never traded this one before. AI, and this is a Brazilian retailer that seems to be doing quite well. It's in the food distribution sector, so seems to be doing very, very well as a stock. So sometimes you can find very interesting stocks. It hasn't been trading all that long, just a few months, but on the American exchanges. But this one is a Brazilian stock, and it might be something that you would find interesting. All right, let's go to the next question. Oh, Live Nation. The problem with Live Nation, I believe, quite frankly, from a fundamental standpoint, is that their primary audience is getting very old. Live Nation did very well when I was younger. God, I hate to say that, but it's true. When I was going to the Grateful Dead and all that stuff. That's really not the case. We're not going to the Grateful Dead anymore. We're going to like the geriatric home. So it seems to be doing well. I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical in this whole area, of live concerts because I just don't think there's many people going to them anymore. To be honest, now the reopening trade may improve that, and this definitely is trading up, so it doesn't look bad. The relative strength is 81, so that's looking pretty good. Now it's got a decent checklist, okay, and they do put on a lot of concerts. I have to say, they really do. Um, but I don't know if I want to invest in a concert promoter. I really don't. I have to think about this one. I have to think about this one. If this were 20 years ago, absolutely. But I'm a little bit skeptical. I want to look at the kind of the monthly chart. I think this has been around for a while. Well, it's at its all-time high. So what do I know? What do I know? It's actually looking pretty good. It's actually looking pretty good as a chart. So maybe they're charging more. Who knows? I don't know, but that's not a bad chart. That's not a bad chart at all. All right. Torch is down 30 cents. Is it a place to buy? I never like to. This is what they call in the trade catching a falling knife. I am not a fan of this. It's very tempting because to think about stocks just like you think about a loaf of bread. You want to get the best deal, but I don't think that's a good way to go about it. You want to buy something that is high and going higher. That's just the weird thing about stocks. Here's the chart for Torchlight Energy, and it is down today, as you can see. This is why it's so difficult to buy these. When you buy them, you have to immediately put in your stop loss and move it up. So I would be careful about buying here. Really, the buy point is going to be about 483. So it may come down and then reverse, but I'd be a little bit careful about this today. I did have this for about 5 minutes, and I had it. I put my stop loss in and pulled back, and I was out. So you never know, but just sometimes that's how it works. All right, let's look at SSYS. SSYS, and that is Stratasys. Manufacturers 3D printers. Boy, this is not a good looking chart. This is one of those areas that everybody thought was going to be so fantastic. 3D printing. As a matter of fact, HP bet the company on it. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out. So I have to be really careful about this business. This 3D printing business, it's really not a consumer business. It's possibly a business for prototyping, but I just don't think much else. This just has not delivered in terms of a technology. But and this chart definitely proves it. This is not the kind of chart you want to buy. Even on the weekly chart, yeah, this is a downward trending chart. You just don't want to buy a downward trending chart, even though it looks like in the short term it's moving up. But still, this thing has to really be selling within 15% of about $50 really to consider buying it. So I would not buy this one just based on that chart. I don't think it's strong enough. And I'm always leery about buying these. We're not in a terrifically strong market right now. We're in a market with an uptrend under correction. So even so we have to be even more careful about buying right now. It's just I reverted to about 50% cash. I mean, I was coming out of cash, and then I just kind of, you know, pulled back because it's just the weakness in the market. All right, look at Momo. This is from Chris. Momo. By the way, I don't know if it's still there, but there's a great place in San Francisco right across the street from the ballpark, which is called Momo's, and I always really like that place. This is not a good-looking stock. It looks like it is pulling back internet content. So is a Chinese provider associated? Yeah, I just don't think you can. I just don't think this is one that you can do right now. It's not a good look. It's not a good look on the chart, and it is pulling back. So I'd be careful with this one. I would not buy this one. I just wouldn't buy this right now. So there you go. Let's look at Louisiana Pacific LPX. LPX, was benefiting tremendously from the shortage of lumber, but it seems like the prices have stabilized on that. So I don't know. It's currently in a downtrend. Maybe this thing will bounce and it'll move higher, but right now, this just isn't a good entry point right now, unfortunately. No, we want to see a reversal, and if we were to buy this, this is how you draw the reversal line. You draw it like this, and then I'm just going to activate it. But this is a reversal line, and basically, what I'm looking for is for it to move above about this red line here, which is the 50-day moving average. So I probably would not buy Louisiana Pacific unless it closed above about $65 a share, because that would connote a reversal. But right now it's still in a downward trend, even though it's moving up. So I would not be looking at buying Louisiana Pacific right now, unfortunately, and wait until it's above about 65 and then start possibly looking at it, but not before. PKX. Let's look at PKX. PKX. There we go. Oh, okay. So this is a steel company. Interesting. This is one of the biggest steel companies in the world. I know this company, POSCO. It's funny. The steelmakers has gotten such a great run, and then all of a sudden, they're still 14 out of 197, and there are some. Cleveland Cliffs is in there as well as Steel Dynamics. I kind of want to look at this sector to see sort of how it's trading. This is essentially, let's see, I think it's about 12, isn't it? No. Steel producers, yeah, this is 14. So this is the overall chart for all the steel producers, and it has got a similar pattern to POSCO here. Let's see if there's anybody that we can look at that's a leader. Let me look at the top stocks here. Steel Dynamics, yeah, but they're all off, every one of them. Every one of them. So I think you got to be super careful. POSCO is one of the biggest. Steel Dynamics, though, has got a bigger cap. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. Look at Steel Dynamics here real quick. Yeah, very similar pattern. They're all pulling down basically to the 50-day line. So I can't recommend either of those on commodities, unfortunately. The only commodities that seem to be doing well in my world are the oils, and they seem to still be doing pretty good. So if you want to do a commodity play, and I think that's still really, really relevant based on the potential inflation that was probably going to come into the market, let's look at the oil and gas again to see if there's anything in there. The one that I really like is Denbury Resources, but unfortunately I can't buy it because it is so extended. Yeah, see, that's the number one there. Really, really like that one. But let's look at Matador. Now, I got shaken out of Matador, but I still like it. It is really extended, unfortunately. Yeah, see, I basically sold it at 20% where was it a 20% profit? Just unfortunately, it's too extended really to buy it right now, so you can't really buy Matador. I wish you could, because Matador is a good bet. So let's see if we can find another oil stock that's gonna give us something. Now I have a few in here that I tried. Let's look at SM Energy. This one, no, this is still extended. Unfortunately, SM is extended. So it's not easy to buy these right now. They have moved above their buy points. Let's see if Continental. This is Continental Hams Company. Yeah, this one might be more of a potential. It is extended, but not very much, and that is CDEV. So this is still a good one. It looks like it's moving right on the 10-day line. This is one if you wanted to get into it and you were interested in being in a commodity play. This is one you might want to look at. Continental Resources, symbol CDEV. It's not a great place to enter because it's above the buy zone, but it's not as extended as like a Denbury. If you wanted to get some exposure in the oils, because I think that's a very good area. All right, let's look at Volt. I think this is Volt Staffing, and I believe I've worked for Volt at one time. Yeah, Volt. No, Volt Information Sciences. Yeah, it's a staffing company, the same one, and they call themselves Volt Information Services. And this one ought to be very strong. This is a group that I think that you picked out a very good group. This is a group that you might want to look at, because I do think as the economy reopens, this is not a bad place to have. This is not a bad place to have exposure. We have very nice earnings here. It's in a consolidation. It's not an expensive stock at all, which is amazing. I mean, it's only a $5 stock, which is amazing. Um, you know, this one looks pretty darn good. Checklist 66%. Industry is pretty good. I mean, it's 26 out of 197, so that's very good actually. Lots of funds are in it. 27. I mean, for considering its size, just want to see if there's any short interest on this to see kind of how it's trading. So I'm going to go over here to the weekly chart, and I'm going to check to see what the short interest is. It looks like it's gone up a little bit. It's got about a half a day of short interest, and the average shares each day. It's not a huge stock. I mean, this is not one that would probably be owned by very many funds, just based on the fact that it doesn't have a lot of it doesn't the float's not very large on this one, but they are showing profitable sales. So currently there's 60,780 shares short, and the float is 18 million. So they're really not in danger of a short squeeze. They're really not in the danger. No, they're not in danger of a short squeeze at all. So there's no short squeeze here. It's got a beautiful blue dot. Yeah, this is a winner. This is a winner. Thank you for bringing this up. This is I would have not have looked at this one. This is definitely one I think that you could definitely buy. I definitely think you could buy this one. This is buyable right now. So I'm going to put that up there with my banner, just so everyone can see it. I think this one is buyable right now. So where I would buy it, if I bought it if I bought it at this price at the, if I bought it at the $4.57 price, I would set my stop loss very tight at uh, about 5% below. So I would set my stop loss at about $4.34 here. That's where I would set it. So if I did buy it here, I would set it very tight stop loss. But if you can see, this is right in a buy zone. So this is right in the buy zone right now. So this is actionable. Relative strength is strong. Nice volume. Yeah, this is a very good suggestion. This is a very good suggestion. This is viable right now. So thank you very much for that. That's a really good one. So Volt, definitely on the list. Volt. I have a question for NVIDIA here. Let's see. Um, you think Nvidia might take another dip? It possibly could. It possibly could. There's a lot of shaking out going on. It seems like the big boys are just shaking that tree really hard. I do think it's going to go up though. I think Nvidia is one of those companies. It's technically trading very, very well. It's got an incredible story. I mean, if you're into AI, I mean, you'll know about Nvidia. Um, it may have gotten a little bit ahead of itself because of the split, but I do think that there's a high likelihood that we will trade up here up until the day from the day of record, which was on Monday, to July 19th, which is the day that it starts trading as the split shares. I do think that's very likely to, and I do think that it's very possible that it's going to get to 800. I was talking this about a week or two ago, and people thought I was off my rocker. But I do think that it absolutely is with Nvidia. So I'm showing you the volt chart since that's not good. But I still think, but I think you got to protect yourself. This is one of the reasons why when I trade Nvidia, what I do is I set those stops in. I was stopped out today. If it pulls back, I'm out. But I buy it as it goes up because I do think it's just they're trying to shake people out, and don't be one of them because they the big boys on Wall Street they like to eat us retail investors for lunch. I'm telling you, it's just amazing. Question on Bitcoin. How much Bitcoin will bounce? Boy, you know what? I don't know about where it's going to reverse, but I think that there's a big, big chance that it's going to reverse. The real reversal seems to be at about 30,000 for Bitcoin. That's just what it seems like. Um, but it's trading within a range from about 30,000 on up to maybe as high as 39 right now. So I do think that you could buy it on the reversal, but I'd be really careful because right now Bitcoin is trading uh, off of its all-time high, and I don't really like to buy things unless they're within about 15% of where they were their all-time high. The all-time high for Bitcoin. Let's go to the Bitcoin. Yeah, the all-time high for Bitcoin basically. And let's go to the year chart. Was basically right here. Oops. Let's see if it is. Yeah, was right here at about 63 on April 13th. Okay, so if we were at 63,000, I'm just going to put that in there. If we're at approximately 63,000 on April 13th, and we multiply that times 0.85, which just gives us 15% of the high, I'm not really interested in looking at Bitcoin until it achieves 53,550. I just am not. So right now, with it being at 32,522, I think you got to be really careful with Bitcoin because it could fall through a floor. Now, I want to kind of go over here to the 5-day chart here, and this is kind of small. So, but it did fall as low. It did fall as low as 29. 884. So definitely there is some resistance at 30,000. As long as it can stay above 30,000, I think you're okay. But the minute it goes below 30,000, I think we're going to get into a situation where we're going to drop down to basically a level that is equal to about here. Yeah, and that's about 18,280. So right now we have some support. Right now we have some support on Bitcoin, but I just don't think if it moves below 30,000, which it easily could do because it's bouncing there, then I think it's going to go lower, not higher. So I don't think it's gonna bounce higher. I don't think it's gonna bounce higher. It's likely to bounce lower. So be very careful with Bitcoin right now. I don't have any Bitcoin at the moment. What's the next buy point for Apple? Good question. Really, the next buy point is really at 137, I believe, and I'll show you that on the chart. And the reason it is about 137 is that is the intermediate higher high, 137.07. So basically, we're right at 134. So we're getting to the point where Apple's looking mighty good. Now I suspect it's going to pull back a little bit, but once it moves above about that 137, then I think it's going to move a lot higher. I did buy Microsoft today, basically, and these kind of two stocks sort of trade in tandem. I want to show you the chart for Microsoft. This Microsoft is at a buy point currently. Here's my little notation. Here's where I bought today. I just bought a half position for the small portfolio. Not a lot, but it has pulled above that very key 283 buy point. So that's looking pretty good. So I definitely think the 137 is where you want to be keying in on that number for Apple because that's likely to be a very good number. Well, I have gone on and on today. If you'd like to get on the Action Trade Alerts, and we did send out one yesterday, and I think we probably will be sending out one. I may send out with some trades that we're making. Tough market right now to trade in, so these alerts can be a very good use because I try to track when there's a change in the market condition. Very easy to get. Free action trade alerts. Just go to www.sendfox.com/Dell's trading floor. So I'll be back tomorrow at 2:30. Hopefully I'll be on time this time. I wasn't today. I was fooling around with some other stuff. Kind of lost track of time. But I will be back at 2:30 Central, and we will see you tomorrow. Happy trading, everyone. It's not a time to be fully invested right now. The best thing to do is to be partially in cash, waiting for opportunities because I do think that they possibly will come. But right now, the market is essentially going sideways. We're not in a confirmed uptrend like we were before. We're in an uptrend under pressure. So be very careful. Try not to go onto margin. As a matter of fact, when it changed, I was out of margin. I was 100. I was heavily margined in Nvidia, and I sold. That's one of the reasons I sold so quickly. But I've been in it for a while. So until tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, happy trading. I'll see you at 2:30 Wednesday tomorrow.